Paul, Hornchurch on Saturday. Is that a ground you've been to before?
I haven't, no. Watched a few of their highlights literally just now. Obviously got the running track around it, which always makes for a strange atmosphere at a football ground. So look, it's it's somewhere I haven't been before, but we'll be looking forward to it and we're ready for it.
And you get the feeling it's going to be another of those away games where there may well be more Torquay fans than the home fans.
Quite possibly. Yeah. It seems to be a recurring theme this season, but it's great. It's great for us. And as always, we're very appreciative of the fans who travel. And we get really good numbers away from home. So it's something that is just becoming normal, but we love it.
Yeah, pretty good fans here as well. 3,700 for a Tuesday night. I think there was only a handful from the visiting. So, I mean, from that point of view, Torquay are on a real wave at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's obviously a very, very well supported football club, and it really does make a difference. So, to be back at home was great. It turned out to be a good night for us as well. So, to have that many fans in on a Tuesday night. And night games are always a little bit special, aren't they? They're always a little bit different games under the lights. So, again, it was a fantastic crowd, and again, we thank them for turning up. It's it doesn't go unnoticed. Players and the staff and the board really appreciate it.
You talked in the past about getting the players or the team to where you want them to be. How far away are you now, do you feel?
As far as ever. It's just an ongoing process, isn't it? So we won on Tuesday night. You don't get too high, too low. It's like any game of football. I think you can always see good and bad in every single game, and I think there's elements of our play with and without the ball on Tuesday night was great, really, really good, really good. And there's elements that we can improve on. I think that the day I'm sat here and saying we were faultless is, I don't think any of us will be here. It's never going to be faultless. So it's just an ongoing process. We work hard, and hopefully one day we'll get closer to it than we are at the moment.
You had two players both scored their first goals for the club, but for Omar in particular, how important was that, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was important for him. His abilities unquestioned. He's easily as talented a footballer as I've ever coached. He missed pre-season. He came into the group late, and then he got injured for a couple of weeks. So there's been a little bit of fitness issues there, and we'll have to manage him accordingly. I'm not sure how many minutes he's got in him at the moment. On Tuesday, he came on and made a huge impact. Obviously, I don't think he's got 90 minutes in him at the minute, and as I said, that's up to me to manage him accordingly, and I'll do that, and I'll play him when I see fit.
Elsewhere, how are you looking injury-wise?
Yeah, we're okay. We're all right. Ed Palmer can play. Ed Palmer would be available for full contact after the Chelmsford game. Matty Wanacott obviously still the long-term one. Other than that, we're not too bad. Jaden Crosby has tweaked his hamstring whilst playing for Gloucester, but that's only 7 to 10 days injury, I think.
And will that be with a face mask?
Ed?
Yeah.
No, Ed. No. We had an option of a face mask, but it was so big, and he wouldn't have been able to head the ball properly. And obviously, that's a big part of his game. So when he comes back to full contact, he's training with us, but he's not full contact. But after 6 weeks, he'll be able to play with no mask.
I know you're always looking, but any joy with possible incomings?
Not today.
Fair enough, Paul.
Maybe tomorrow. Not today. It's honestly, Alan. It's just non-stop. It's non-stop, and you've heard me say it before. You're just waiting for things to drop. You're in the lap of the gods sometimes.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, what can you tell us about the challenge of Hornchurch on Saturday? What kind of game do they play?
Well, obviously they're a newly promoted side. They had a good point last night away at Boreham Wood, which is always a difficult place to go. They've got some. They've got Sean Scannell, who's been a top career. Kashket's had a top career. Balanta's had a top career. They made a good signing, I thought, in the centre back from Averley, Gibbs, who played against us down here. He's a and Mountain. Thought he'd done really well for Aveley. They've got a manager who's managed higher than the league they're in, Darryl McMahon. So they'll be organised. They'll be fit. They'll be strong. And again, it's repetitive answer, Patrick. We'll have to be at our best to get anything. It's a second long trip in 7 days. Away to Eastbourne, obviously, last week. Away to Hornchurch this week's 2 long ones. That shouldn't really come into play. It's going to be a tough challenge. Spoke about, it's the first time I've been there, the football pitches with running tracks around them and stands a long way from the pitch rarely create a good atmosphere. I remember playing at Brighton years ago when they used to play at the Withdean. I think I played there 6 or 7 times for Plymouth Argyle. Don't think we got a point. It's tough to go, Chelmsford's tough. I think Enfield's got a running track around it as well. So they're not easy games to play. It's going to be a tough game.
Is there anything about the National League South this season? You talk about the game evolving, and it has done over the last 5 or 10 years. Is there any kind of change that you've seen in the National League South that's been coming in? You've seen teams do more of.
I think the fitness levels have gone up hugely. I'm not an expert on National League South, by the way. It's only my 2nd season in it, so I think the energy levels and fitness levels from last year have gone up, definitely. There's a couple of teams playing front to back a little bit quicker. Those teams are up around the top half of the league. I mean, it is a tough league. It's you're playing against teams and players every week. Vast majority of them played in higher leagues and managed in higher leagues as well. So I think the standard's improving all the time. I mean, it's a knock-on effect, isn't it, from the Premier League's only getting better and better, and then it just goes down and down and down, and it's going further down the football pyramid. The standard of football's getting higher, definitely.
Are you finding that your knowledge of it last year, or having been through it last year with Truro, it's only 12 games in, is it in your mind, is it a help to have had that year under your belt with them, knowing quite a lot of the teams? Obviously players and squads do change, but is when you sit down each game to plan how you're going to tackle each one, do you find that you've got a bit of knowledge and to fall back on, and is that a help?
Yeah. I've also lucky enough to have knowledge from higher levels as well, when I was assistant manager at Plymouth for 6 years. So it's I mean, football's football, but you're always going against formations or players. Football doesn't change. I do have a lot more knowledge of players this season, definitely. I think the remit at Truro was a little bit different to what it is at Torquay. And, not having a home ground as they have now and playing in front of, at times 80, 90 people made it very difficult, and the remit was very, very different. So I think it's an excellent league. I think it's a really, really good league. I mean, the league above is pretty much full-time professional league, isn't it? That's 99%. So it's and there's teams, even teams in the National League South now who are saying they're part-time. Lots of them are still 3 times a week. Whereas if you're a full-time, I don't know, say you're at a League One club, you play on a Saturday, you recover on a Monday, you train Tuesday, you're off Wednesday, you train Thursday, you do a little bit Friday. There ain't a lot of difference, really. There's really, really not a lot of difference. People get very conflicted about full-time and hybrid and part-time. When you're in a Saturday, Tuesday week, you'll hardly do anything on a Monday because you're playing Tuesday. You're off Wednesday, you'll hardly do anything on a Thursday. We'll be travelling on the Friday, so we'll do a very light session again. It's people get conflicted by that, but I think the professionalism of the leagues is getting higher all the time, definitely. The standard and the fitness is getting higher all the time.
I noticed Neil come round as I was leaving. He was coming round to the changing rooms on Tuesday night. Is it good for the gaffer, as you call him, to pop his head in and encourage the boys?
Brilliant. Yeah. No, it's brilliant. It's I think he loves going in there and loves having that little bit of banter and the football talk with the lads. He pulls 1 or 2 to the side, and I can see him doing that, and he tells them what he expects of them, and things like that, and you can't help but listen. You know, it's invaluable, really. He was at training on Monday. It's great to see him up there. You know, I'd love him to be there a lot more, but when he is there and when he's in a changing room, you can feel the instant respect, which he's earned, obviously. I love having him about the place. He's always on the end of the phone anyway. I speak to him 3 or 4 times a week anyway. So, but you know, he's good company, and he's funny as well. So the lads, you know, they bounce off him, and like he says, it's great for him because he ain't got the pressure of the result, you know. So it's you know, but it's it's great to have him in and around there. And you know, we always have a really good chat after games, win, lose or draw. You know, we always, you know, he makes me see things a little bit different sometimes when I can be a bit blinkered by certain things. So for me personally, he's great to have about.
I'm sure the Yellow Army are looking forward to seeing what Omar Musa is capable of this season. What expectations have you got of him as the season goes on?
Score every single game he plays in. Listen, Omar's a player I've known about for years. As I said, he's undoubtedly one of the best technical football players I've coached, and that includes my time at Plymouth Argyle as well. His ability, he's an infectious character. I love him to bits. He's always smiling, always happy. He's had some fitness issues. He missed pre-season, which is huge for a player like Omar. I've seen over the last probably 7 to 10 days, he's getting to a level where I'd want him to be. Tuesday night, he obviously affected the game massively. You know, and we'll manage him and see where he goes from there. But I've got expectations of all my players. You know, the one expectation I've got is that they run and they work hard. That's the first and foremost, and he did that Tuesday night definitely.
What he did on Tuesday night was for the goal was found that pocket of space, didn't he? If he can do that and players can see him in that space, then he's going to be dangerous, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the areas of the pitch you want him in. He can play all over the midfield, really. He could probably play as a sitter, but you know, he always wants to do something with the ball. You know, it's but in those attacking areas, he's always been a number 10 in his younger years in Belgium. And it was a real good bit of play. Actually, it was actually a great goal if you watch it back. Yeah. It was a little. You could see
he does come under pressure as well from the.
Yeah, but he's strong. I tell you, he's incredibly strong. His body strength is right up there. And we did a finishing drill on Monday with the boys who didn't play against Eastbourne, and he was brilliant in that. So you know, I was glad for him, glad for us, glad for me. You know what I mean, it was a really good goal, really good finish, and his delivery for the corner was on the money. So yeah, he's got undoubted ability, undoubted.
There's a lot of talk in the news today about the effects of heading footballs. There are people talking about the effects on players who've played the game for a long time and making changes in children's games and also in training for senior teams as well. What are your thoughts on that? You'd have to change the game completely, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, the balls are getting lighter and lighter all the time, but then they're moving quicker and faster as well. I'm not sure. I mean, when I played, as a defender, we did a lot of heading practice, like probably 3 times a week. It was pretty endless. I dread to think how many footballs I've headed. It's not so much the case now. In my training, yeah, we practice heading, but quite rarely, to be honest with you. I think the game's changed. There's a lot more football played now. So I don't know. With the kids heading it and stuff, I mean, my son, he's 21 now, and obviously I've seen him play football from the age of 5 or 6. Kids never head the ball anyway.
No.
Do they? They don't. You know, when you go and watch a kids game and they say, "Cool, good header, of course he's headed it." It's quite a surprise when they head it. And obviously, like, children's football's changing. They play out from the, you know, they're taught total football now, which is great. But that's a really interesting question. I'm obviously not qualified to say anything about it. I think we don't. Our defenders wouldn't head many balls during the week, I don't think.
My daughter coaches primary school football,
Yeah.
and as of this season, they're rolling in from throw-ins,
Okay.
and they're rolling in at corners as well to try and avoid putting the ball in the air.
Yeah.
If kids are coming through learning that, then, as you say, the game is going to evolve, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very much in the camp of football's been the best sport in the world for however many years. Leave it alone. I mean, our winning goal on Tuesday night, corner and a header, and it's great, isn't it?
From the fans' point of
Everyone
view.
loves a headed goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's yeah. I mean, it's a and I'm a big fan of just keep. I don't like change really in the rules and stuff, and throw-ins has always been part of football. I don't, I know Arsene Wenger was trying to big advocate for kick-ins. Well, all you'll do is from your own half you'll be launching it into the box, and it's just going. I'm not sure. I'm a big advocate of leaving it alone, but as in for children heading footballs repetitively at a young age, there's obviously some science behind it which I don't know about, but I don't know. It's got me thinking. I mean, we actually don't really practice heading much at all.
Because one of the things they're talking about is limiting the number of what they call higher force headers, which presumably is one coming down with snow on it.
Yeah.
But how on earth do you limit that? If you're playing a practice game up at South Devon College,
Yeah.
you can't tell Sam Dreyer you've made 10 headers. Don't do it again.
Yeah. No, it's a big grey area, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm more black and white really, so it's
Interesting to see what comes out of it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, you got teams in National League South this year who profess to be total football teams. I think we're the only team in the league that I've seen so far without a long throw. They're getting launched in the box an awful lot, so it goes in cycles, doesn't it? I think people a couple of years ago were horrified at the thought of a long throw, and it was people used to ridicule Tony Pulis and Roy Delap. Every team's got one now, so I don't know. Football's changing all the time.